Guys, what is going on? I built this bit of software here. It's nothing too crazy. It was just some valuations, catalog equity tracker. So if you're a musician or if you're just curious what like musician catalogs are worth, this is rooted in both. I've been a enterprise software engineer and then I've got a degree in economics. So like, and I happen to be a musician as well, and and maybe a bit of a businessman. But this is built just so like man, there's some baseline rooted in like real business, calculations. So let me refresh, and I'll have the link. This is one of the Vercel links. Vercel is just an easy way to deploy, software really quick. So I figured, hey, that would be awesome to do. But basically, all you do, you put in your monthly streams, you put in how many songs you got, you press enter. That's it. So let's say you got your Spotify information, you got your Apple information, you got rough ballpark. If you're like, man, my catalog gets say whatever number, 50,000 streams a month, right? And let's say you're like, man, I got about 30 songs. You can see roughly how much each song is broken down, how much if someone wants to buy your catalog, what it's worth. And these are like based on economic things like the beta ratios, and then your multiples, and obviously like taking in account for like rough equivalents of an S&P 500 fund, or what a cap rate of like a real estate project would roughly make. So this is like your beta floor adjusted value. This is like bare bone minimum. Anything below, sorry, the mic's busting out here, but anything less than that would just be an absolute murder for whoever's buying your catalog. Like that's even really cheap anyways. But you see all the numbers roughly what it would make. Your annual revenue, conservative metric of 5x multiple, not adjusted for your beta risk, your ratio. High end multiple of 10x. So a music catalog could be roughly guesstimated worth anywhere from a 5x multiple to a 20x multiple. Obviously, if you're a newer artist or less popular, you're going to be more towards like the 5x with a higher beta ratio too, which isn't as good. And if you're like way really popping, like Post Malone, or like just someone who's like huge brand, huge artist, all them things, you're obviously going to have a higher multiple and a less beta ratio. So these are all just rough ballpark numbers too, just to like like it's not exactly perfect. Like if you're going to make deals with labels or whoever, investors, VC guys, or whatever, like you still you need to figure out your own personal catalog and your own personal value, because your own value might have different things. You might have sync deals. You might have other business things. You might have a whole bunch of marketing things. You might be a TikTok person. You might be a YouTuber. So there's other brand things that could add to equity or change deals or change numbers. So these are just ballpark guesstimates of like, man, just a peek, real quick lens of, based on economic understandings that I've got. So just to hopefully add a bit value and kind of fun thing to just fuck around and see like, man, what would a gold artist, like one gold record, what would that roughly be worth? It's like, here's a good sweet spot of like, about 1.7 million, is about a fair guesstimation for, start there. Like you could go less or more, but and then this S&P 500 equivalent, I like this because it shows you if you had this record, what it would be worth, or what your catalog would be worth in a traditional investment like the S&P 500. So I think it's really interesting and hopefully a special piece of software. So again, if you're like, hey man, my catalog makes, a million streams a month. I got 40 songs, average thing, a beta risk multiplier, average music catalog is about 0.65 beta risk. So a little bit higher, right, than like a house. A house, I think beta risk is like 0.3 or something. It's just a little bit more because it's backed by like mortgages, banking, a bunch more stuff. But the same side, like a software company or a music catalog, the upside is you could scale. So you probably get a higher multiple, even though a software company would probably have a higher beta risk than a house. But a house, you don't get a huge multiple. Or like a charter company, for instance, I got a charter company as well. Our multiple's lower, but our beta risk is also lower. But our multiple's lower because it's like in order to scale, you need physical assets, you need labor, versus like a software thing. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into it. You guys get it, capiche. But go play around with this. It's a really cool calculator. This is the link, catalog equity tracker.vercel.app, and I'm going to post the link, put it on Facebook, share it with your friends, share it with your music friends. I think it's such an interesting thing. But if you had a catalog that's doing 1 million streams a month, that's about 4 grand a month, right? Here's your daily earned revenue, about 86, $108 a month. Annual revenue 30 to 40 grand. The equivalent S&P fund of that would be about $1 million fund, if not more. According to this, it'd be 1.5. But just to give some ideas, because it's like $100 a day. Some people shit on that. They're like, man, my catalog's only making $100 a day. That's a fuckload of money there, buddy. Like that, don't sleep on that. That's a fuckload of money. So yeah, so this hopefully just gets a bit, like personally, if I had, these numbers in front of me, maybe it's a little bit more informative, right? And then you also don't want to get fucked. Like this is your beta adjusted floor value. This is like the worst possible negotiated number you could possibly get. But if you're an artist and you're like, man, what is my true value? Like this, take this as your lowest, on the worst day, worst month, worst year, worst everything, worst marketing, worst all. This is your lowest value of your. I would confidently say that. So really what you want to do is like kind of find, a number between this number and that number, right? Between the highest 40x value and a 5x beta adjusted risk value would be a fair, somewhere in the middle of those two is probably, those are your outer parameters, and somewhere in the middle is probably your fair value to start negotiating towards. And, you might pull, and that's what this calculator is here. You'll see that it's about the average of this beta value, and the optimistic target is going to be the early value of the S&P 500. Just calling it as it is, like a music catalog is not going to be as valuable as like an S&P fund. It's just like S&P fund is going to have FDIC insurance, SPIC insurance, all these other things. You got trillions of dollars in that market. The music industry as a whole does like 9 billion a year, like 22 billion a year. So that's like a 1/50th of what is just moving around easy in the S&P. Probably even less, to be honest. Like 1/50th is a liberal metric, but yeah, guys. So hopefully that's good value. You know what I mean? But that's like start on this sweet spot number if you're negotiating with a label. You might want to gravitate up or down, but obviously a little bit more towards this way if you can. But hopefully that gives, and then again, the more popular you get, the more income streams you get from music, tour money, sync money, brand deals, merch. Your beta risk is actually going to go lower the more popular you are, because you got more of a stable foundation. So that would actually increase your value, and you'll see that reflected here, that the sweet spot I think just went up. So let's increase it. Let's pretend. Yeah, that sweet spot goes down the higher that beta risk is. You want a lower beta risk value. So yeah, hopefully that's just kind of fun. And then if you're not a musician, you just want to see like, man, what would a diamond artist like be worth? Like this is, if you're a diamond recording artist, man, shit does not look too bad. Like that's probably, if I had a diamond record, I would not sell it at all, period. But like, certainly, yeah, because it's going to be making a ridiculous amount of money. So, I mean, these aren't perfect either, but just broad stroke fun. Give it a rough idea. So go have some fun with it. It was built by me. If you want to see more about me, go ahead and click tags, and yeah, guys. So enjoy.